Welcome to Podnutz Pro, show number 40. Here we have Matt Rainey and myself, Lalo, your co-hosts, and we try to cover all the different type of areas within small business and supporting small business customers. And as you know, it's a little bit different from supporting home users and their home PCs, but this is what the show is all about. Our co-host, Mr. Matt Rainey. How you doing today, sir?
I am doing good, but I am exhausted. Too much work. Holidays should be kind of low key, but hasn't been so this year.
Now, I'm gonna have to agree. Most of my jobs in the past, the holiday season tends to be a little bit slower, but for different reasons. And this year, it's not as crazy. You know, everybody takes a vacation. But for you,
Yeah, I
it's a little
find
bit busy, huh?
it's extremely busy. Usually when people's computers don't work around the holidays, they just go shopping
hmm
and they don't care if their computer works or not. But that hasn't been the case this year.
Hey, man, that's okay because that means a money in your pocket, right?
Well, I usually like to take off 2 weeks around Christmas, and being so busy this year, I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, sorry, man.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes.
All right, man. So, what are we gonna talk about today?
Got a few things, and then of course, we got some emails. But I got three topics that came up this week, a little bit more than usual. And the first one we'll talk about is kind of brought on by everybody now having iPads, uh, Kindle Fires, Droids, iPhones, all that. Before those devices, at least in my support, you had computers and maybe some Blackberries. And now everybody's got multiple devices that they check their email from or they connect remotely. And this I've found, especially this week, is leading to problems. And it's not always obvious what the problem is. I had a phone call from some people, actually more than one this week, but it typical thing goes, I can't access the network resources. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I get access denied, sometimes I get a pop-up wanting me to log in, and it's not consistent. So when I talk to them, of course, I say, has anything changed recently? No. The typical no responses you get when they really
Oh,
aren't
sure.
even listening to your question.
hmm
So I say, well, first off, let me try something. I'll get the username and password. I'll log into Outlook Web Access, let's say, so I can verify the username and password is correct. Because people don't reboot computers. They'll leave them on for a month at a time, stay logged in, and of course that leads to different problems.
Which I want to share a quick little tip. Before I call a client, of course, I have access to their PC. I use system terminals to go to the command prompt on their local machine. I do a system uptime, and I can determine the last time the box was rebooted. Because
Hmm.
I'll get that question, and I'll ask that question. Or rather, I say, when was the last time you rebooted your PC? And I can tell by the information that system info, all one word, is gonna give you. It's gonna give you tons of information. But one of the lines is called uptime. I can tell it hasn't been rebooted for about a week, and they tell me, oh, I did it yesterday. So I graciously ask them to do it again.
Right. Or I do that sometimes, and sometimes what I'll do is I'll go look on the server under the open files and sessions, and I can see their session time is 120 hours or something ridiculous.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So I know that they've had an open session, meaning they haven't rebooted. So, but I'll check. I'll see if I can log on. If I can, I'll ask them. I'll look at those system logs. But what I've been finding is they've changed their password, even though I've asked them to change password recently, because that's always any kind of connectivity issues. Especially in Outlook, you're getting prompted for your password,
Sure.
or when you try and connect to a share, you're getting a pop-up or even access denied. Say, which did you change the password? No. Well, come to find out, they did change their password. They changed it, let's say 2 or 3 days ago, and that's when the problem started. And the problem is they can log into their computer with the new password, but their other devices, maybe three or four other devices that check email using ActiveSync or whatever, even if it's POP or IMAP, it's trying to check the email with the old password.
It's funny that you bring this up because I had the same conversation with a fellow employee at work. The same conversation. Because as you stated, mobile devices are becoming really popular, and a lot of environments do run as change. And you get that spike in phone calls where people can get their email, and as Matt stated, they can log into their workstation or laptop and get their email, but not on the mobile devices. Password changes.
Yep. And what happens is that the phone or whatever device keeps trying to check it with the wrong password, it locks the account out. So that's where they get account lockouts and all kind of weird errors. So you have to have them change the password on all their devices. Now, sometimes they say, well, I left that device somewhere. I don't even know where it is. Well, okay. So you can turn off active sync access for the user account so that the phone will stop locking the account out. But the fix is they've got to find the device and change the password. And I've seen that happen, I think this week alone, and this is only Wednesday, three times from three different people,
Wow.
where they just forget. They might have an iPod. One of them had an iPod Touch that they forgot they even had. It's on the kid. I think the kid was using it, but the email account was still set up on it. So the pop-up was coming up on the phone to cannot connect to a server, but it kept changing. It kept locking the account out. So when you have active sync with all these devices, you gotta the users have to just be educated. If you change your password, it's got to be changed on all your devices. And what they get confused about is they say, "No, that's my password to log onto my computer. That's not my email password." They always insist I don't have an email password.
Right.
So you have to explain to them, and I mean they're gonna some are gonna forget, some are gonna remember. It's different people
I agree.
retain this information different ways.
I agree.
But you have to tell them, this is your username and password. It's only one, it's the same thing. You only have one username, one password. It allows access to all the different types of resources, your email, your computer, your network shares, so that it's the same one. Anytime you get a prompt for username and password and it's related to your company, this is the username and password.
I'm not sure. And as you stated, some users are just like that. While we're migrating these PCs from XP to Windows 7, and the first time boot up will ask the user to log in, and they'll lock out the password because they claim they don't know their password. Something as simple as a changing of the login screen kind of throws them off. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
especially when they move to Windows 7 and it's the
right.
domain name slash username. That's too much. Um, a side story, not related to this. It, People forget their passwords, but you'd be surprised how many more forget their username
That's true.
because it's always there.
Yep, it's true.
They have no clue. I had to have somebody today we put in for a migration we did 2 months ago. He There was a program that he wanted to run. Well, it didn't work on Windows 7. So he said, "Well, I'm just going to upgrade to the new version. So don't worry about that. I'll take care of that myself." Okay. Well, here's 2 months later, and he calls today and says, "I don't like the new program. I want to hook up. I hooked up my old computer on the network, and I want you to set it up so I can just, when I need to, once in a while, we can go to this computer and we can run this program." I said, "That's fine. Go ahead and log into the computer." He couldn't log into the computer. He
He
forgot his
forgot
password.
his username, huh?
No, he knew his username. He forgot his
Oh, he
password.
forgot his
Even though
password.
he's been logging on to his computer every day for years,
That happens.
he just drew a blank, and it took him 20 minutes to log into the computer.
No, it definitely happens.
So, that's why you have multiple monitors so you can do other things while they're filling for their password.
Real quick on these mobile end devices, have you found a solution to, like for example, some folks use LogMeIn to remotely access end devices? Logmein does have a feature to remotely connect to iPad and these mobile devices, but it's not what you think. It's not like you can see what the user's seeing. You can kind of go to the back end and configure an email account.
Right.
Um, but have you found any the solution how to possibly remote? I've looked and I haven't seen anything that stands out.
No, when I have to walk somebody through that, I have an iPad, have an iPhone. I can tell them step by step because I can just do it on mine and tell them at
Hmm.
the same time. So I've walked them through it. I've never actually had to connect once I can walk them through it.
Okay. Yeah, and then I also looked for emulators to see or simulators. Again, I'm thinking for more of for your department who needs to walk a user through
Hmm.
something that doesn't have iPad, but
Well,
not too many.
I've found for a lot of the Droid phones, I've found emulators for those just by doing Google searches
Okay.
because I don't have a Droid phone, and when somebody calls me the Droid phone, I've got to walk them through it. It's I found it without too much trouble while I'm on the phone with them in a few minutes finding emulators, and it gives me step by step, just like I had the device.
Okay, well, if you find like the next good one that you find, just go ahead and bring it to the show so we can. Cause I found a couple, but they just seem flaky. Like they don't. I mean, 'cause I actually own an Android and device, and it just doesn't seem as
Yeah,
accurate.
and
So
I searched by model number specifically of their phone
okay,
because I've found different ones. So if they've got well, I don't even know the Droid models because um, I know one was an HTC something. I did a search specific for their phone and how to do what I was doing, and I found the tutorial.
okay, sweet.
That I could have sent it to him, but I just read it to him and say, click here, click here, click here, and he got it. It's never been a problem.
That's a good tip. That's definitely a good tip. Since we're still on these mobile devices, and again, I've been on a mobile device kick at work, so that's why I'm bringing these items to the table. So
Yeah, and everybody has this stuff
yeah.
now. Everybody.
Um,
You're not going to come across an office that doesn't have some kind of device that they're going to want to use.
how do you approach this subject when someone says, "Hey, Matt, I want to print from my iPad or print from my Droid"?
Well, when they want to print from an iDevice, it's easy. I tell them we're just going to get a printer. Normally an HP printer with, I think it's ePrint or AirPrint, whatever it's called.
Right, both right.
Yeah, I tell them that's what you need. Those apps that they have for printing, at least from the iPhones and
Hmm.
iPads, they're terrible.
Yes. What Matt's saying there, you can buy a HP printer that has the AirPrint built into the printer, and pretty much, and it uses what protocol to see like the printer will broadcast itself on the local subnet, and the iPad can see this printer.
Right, there's no drivers or anything. It's built
Right.
into the printer and it's built into the phone's OS. So you hit the little arrow, just like you're gonna like when you forward a message
Right.
and print. It got reply forward print. Print is one of those options. You click on print. It's got select printer. If you're on the network with it, it'll just find it.
Yes. And then the ePrint solution is kind of neat, but there's some certain things about it that I'll bring to the table in a second. But what ePrint is nice is because your printer gets assigned a HP email address. So you will send, let's say you want to print a Word document, you'll email this email address, and it spits out on your HP printer. Again, if you have information is kind of confidential, I know that's the route that you want to go. They do sell a ePrint enterprise server solution if you want to keep it all internal. Same concept, but yeah, there are ways to print from the mobile devices, but then again, just go to your workstation or laptop and go to file print.
Yes. Um, the ePrint's neat. I have some clients that have some of these printers, but they haven't set up the ePrint. They haven't asked about it because they they really didn't need that from the descriptions. They would want to just print from their phone or from their iPad. So I saw that feature, but I did not set it up.
Well, sweet. HP actually came to my workplace and gave us a demo today, and we could possibly run some type of pilot here. So I definitely will keep everyone updated. But that's a question that we always get. I want to print from my iPad. I want to print from my Android tablet. And so now we got to find an answer to that solution. So
So if it prints with by an email address,